Hi there, it's Karen here from Brammer Photography and Digital Art, as you can see on the screen. Today I'm going to be chatting to you about one of the new features in Adobe Photoshop CC 2020, and this is the desktop version. Now what they've added is this new object selection tool, and what that allows you to do, or us to do, is we can quickly select people, animals, flowers or any other objects in our photos, and with that tool it lets you also identify the subject yourself just by drawing a really rough selection around it. And then once you've drawn that selection, Photoshop will then automatically shrink wrap that to the subject's edges. And then if you find, okay, it's not perfect, all you have to do is just simply add and subtract areas, and away you go, just by dragging around them. So where do we find this new object selection tool? Now they've given us the keyboard shortcut of W. Now those of you who are familiar with Photoshop, you will find if you do your keyboard shortcut of W, that will take you to the quick selection tool or the magic wand tool, and that can be found quite simply up here. And if you just hover over that, you can open up and you can see you've got these two areas here. Now, neither one of those features the object selection tool. So what do you have to do in order to get that into your toolbar and be able to use it? Well, this is where you need to edit your toolbar, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that, and you can customize it. So what we do is we're going to go down this side of the toolbar, we go down here until we find the area here where we've got three little dots. And what you're going to simply do is you're just going to click on that. Now that will open up a drop down menu, and at the very top of that menu, next to the three little dots, it says Edit Toolbar. We click on that and it opens up the toolbar panel. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger for you. Now everything on this side here where it says toolbar, these are all your active tools that are currently in your toolbar on the left there. Okay, and you'll notice also that the text is white. You've got your letters here. Now these correspond to the keyboard shortcuts for all the different tools. So if you're not actually familiar with the keyboard shortcuts, this is a really good way of making yourself familiar, and you can open up this panel and have an idea about how you can get to those shortcuts really easy, because it's all there on the screen. It tells you exactly how you do that by pressing those corresponding letters. So what we do in order to actually add something to our toolbar, we go over to where it says extra tools. Now you will notice that the text on this side is greyed out, and although yes you do also get the lettering there, that's also greyed out. So what we have to do in order to add these extra tools over to our toolbar, we need to find the tool that we're looking for, and ours is there at the very bottom. It says Object Selection Tool, and we've got the W there. So all I'm going to simply do is I'm just going to click on that, and then I'm just going to drag this up. Now I'm going to put it in that group with the Quick Selection Tool and Magic Wand Tool. Okay, so that's been added into there now, you can see it there. And all you simply do now is I just go up to here and I press done. Now, if I press W now, you can see this area is darker. You get a little square, it darkens. That's when you know something's been selected. And now when I open this up, you can see the object selection tool is there. So you have just learned how to both edit and customize your toolbar. Two things for the price of one. Not bad, eh? Right, so let's look at this object selection tool in a little bit more detail. Now you have two modes. One is lasso, so the mode is up here, and you have a little arrow in this box here, and you've got rectangle and lasso. Now I would recommend when you're using this that you look at if you've got a solid shape with well-defined edges, I would always recommend using more of the geometric selection tool or the mode. And that would be rectangle. But if you've got something like a person or flowers or a pet, animal, whatever, and they haven't got such clear defined edges, then I would definitely use a more free-form selection tool like the lasso mode. Okay, so that is those two modes there. The other things that you need to consider in this are the sample all layers. Now the sample all layers function is, by default, the object selection tool looks for objects only on the active layer. Now you know whether a layer is active or not because this will be grey, and you can see there that the lettering is white, so similar to how I showed you in the toolbar panel. And also you can see that it's visible because you've got the eye there as well. So that shows you that. So what happens if you want your selection to be based on a composite? Well, this is where you would come up to here and you would click on this, which is sample all layers. So this is when you're dealing with a composite, okay? That's the only time realistically that you need to be ticking that box. The rest of the time you leave it unclicked, and that's what we're going to do now. But you can see when it's selected because it will be white with that tick in the middle. So we're going to unselect that. Okay, and then we've got the enhance edge. Now what that does is, it only adds a slight amount of smoothing to the edges of your selection, but the difference it makes is, well, minimal. So I usually tend to leave that one off. And then the final bit that you need to consider is this object subtract. Now this option allows Photoshop to use its advanced object selection technology. So when subtracting unwanted areas from the initial selection, when it's turned off, it acts like just the standard marquee or lasso tool and simply removes whatever pixels you manually drag around. Object subtract needs to be left on, and we can see it is because we've got the white box and the little tick. So let's show this in action now. So I'm going to first and foremost, I'm going to use the rectangle mode, and I'm going to show you how you can do that on this type of image. Now the reason that you can see this little almost looks like a no entry sign is because we need to make sure that this layer is active, and at the moment I can't do anything on this layer without doing that. So we click that and we know that this layer is now active, and all we're going to simply do is just draw this little rectangle around this shape, and there you go. Fantastic, we've made our selection. It was very quick to do, but can you see that we've missed out some little bits here? Now the way that you can rectify that is you can draw a further rectangle into there. Now you might not get it all straight away, but you may also have to keep clicking because you don't really want that bit there, and then it starts getting a bit fiddly. So you've got that bit there, that's snapped in not too bad. Okay, so I'm now going to show you the same mode but on a more solid subject and let you see the difference. And this is why you've got the two different modes. Okay, so we're going to switch to this one. Again, we've got rectangle mode selected here. We know that the layer is active, and we're just going to simply do exactly the same as we did previously. And there you go, perfect. Now I don't need to go back in and subtract or add to that selection because it's done exactly what I wanted it to do. Okay, so let's press Command and D now, and that deselects, and we're going to go back to that previous image, and again I'm going to press Command and D to deselect that. And now I'm going to show you the difference when we use the lasso tool or the lasso mode. So we do this really rough selection, very freeform. So although again you can see that we've got these areas where we haven't quite got into where we wanted with our selection, what we can simply do now is just draw around there, and again here. And what it's allowing you to do, so even if you miss that little bit there, let's see if we can get that in. So you can see how much easier it is using this freeform tool just to get into these areas that you just couldn't quite get to with the rectangular option. So what I recommend you do is when you're using a solid edged geometric shape, then definitely without doubt use rectangle mode. But if you're doing something like a flower, person, animal or anything like that, then without doubt the lasso mode is the one that you need to use for that. Now I hope you found that useful. Just to summarise what you've learned is you've learnt how to edit your toolbar, you've learnt how to customise your toolbar, you've tried out the two different modes, rectangle and lasso mode, and you've learnt how you can make these good selections. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will be posting up some more tutorials. Please put any comments you like in the comment box below. Please like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Many thanks.